So why the therapy, which is very successful in Mexico, are not really available in the States?
The main reason, I believe, is technical. In the United States of America, in order for you to approve or get approved by the FDA for a drug, for a single drug, the average cost is about $800 million to $1 billion. And the way the system is set up right now is that in order for you to make your money back, the government gives you a patent. And then you have a monopoly for 17, 20 years to make your money back. And I think that's fair, right? If they ask you for so many things, because the $800 million is not money that you pay to the government, it's money that you spend to prove to the government that your drug is safe and effective. So if you are going to do this process to get something natural approved, it's going to cost you the same thing, but they're not going to give you a patent. And so you will never make that $1 billion back. My father, he spent almost 40 years ago, $350,000 in Mexico to get Laetrile approved. The day that it was approved, 4 other laboratories started making Laetrile because we did not get a patent. But my father didn't care, and he had the money to spend. Obviously, $350,000 is nothing compared to $1 billion, but that's the crux of the matter. Nobody is going to spend that kind of money without any expectation of making your investment back. So that's the problem. It's more just following the system and following the rules. And that's why all of the studies that are published about foods and nutrients stop at laboratory, because that's where you spend the least amount of money. The big money is spent in clinical trials and lawyers to protect you from the clinical trials. So that's the reason. In Mexico, it's much cheaper. The average that you will spend to get a drug approved is about $10 million. And then we have a slot in between drugs and supplements. Supplements, you don't need to do any clinical trials, but you cannot make any claims. But you can have functional foods. And if you want to make a claim, you have to present clinical trials. And that is not very costly. Once you present that, then anybody else can do what you're doing. You will not have any proprietary thing. But we've done many of those studies for the Mexican government. And that's the problem.
It sounds like Mexican people are more generous, American people are more stingy, or something.
Well, again, is the fact that spending $1 billion in it's gone. It's not easy. Not many people have that. Those big companies, if you believe that a big company, because we tend to criticize them very much, but a big company will do about a 10% ratio of approvals. That is, they spend the money on 10 drugs, so that's $10 billion, and will probably get 1 or 2 approved.
Wow.
So that's why when they sell you a pill for $50 that costs 2 pennies, it's because they're paying all of that research. They have to get it back. Right. So it's easy to criticize, but that's the system. So in a meeting that I had with the U.S. government about these things, they invited me to. I said, the only way to resolve this issue is to change the way you reward scientists. It has to change. And so the patent system has to change so that all of the costs would come down for everything if they would allow patents for natural things. But right now it's impossible.
That's great.